Prehistory. Human expansion. At the end of the 20th century, the unification of scientific and esoteric knowledge, which has long been separate and antagonistic, occurred. This was initiated by certain human spirits who achieved transcendental contact with power resembling an infinite mind. The infinite mind had long been foretold and anticipated by some, denied to exist by others. The time it was right, and the information gained from the contra-theoretical principles of which were completely unknown could be used successfully in real life. The technology that had the most dramatic impact on human evolution was the permanent tunneling of space, the creation of so-called passages, which enabled travel to alien worlds. Humanity's age-old dream of traveling to the stars became reality. The cosmogonical model of the universe, with its planets, stars, and galaxies, became unnecessary. The passages opened ways into zones whose formation was completely unrelated to the scientific concept of metagalaxy. Building and activating a passage required enormous amount of energy, and its destination point was impossible to predict. After activation, a passage became virtually autonomous, connecting two worlds. Humankind rushed headlong into the new worlds, exploring and colonizing unthinking and heedless of any consequences. While the finest minds assimilated knowledge from the new worlds, others bent on conquest rushed forth with vehicles of mass destruction. These explorers were uncaring of philosophical aspects of contact with other civilizations. Secure in knowledge of their superior intellect, humans expanded and conquered new worlds for 100 years. The entire human culture was significantly distorted under the impact of a rapidly growing chain of worlds. Without even completing reconnaissance and development of one world, the explorers would start building a new passage to the next. Fortunately, only a minority of the new worlds became part of a chain, since the environment on many of them was extremely hostile to humans. Inevitably, the explorers' disregard and conceit reaped their just rewards. First contact. The Crispo were entirely unfamiliar, nothing like the ugly little humanoids flying UFOs of 20th century imaginary. The collective mind of Crispo colony was totally unintelligible to humans with their individual psyches. The colony's flawless mechanism closely resembled earthly nests of insects. The appearance of the explorers from the passage was initially overlooked by the colony, preoccupied as it was with its primary functions of territorial control. Conversely, the advance guard of explorers immediately started slaying these strange beasts, as they had done in similar circumstances many times before. The consequences of this slaughter were catastrophic. By the time people realized their technological inferiority to the new enemy, the Crispo had managed to enter the passage and discover the new, unclaimed territories. Initially, they ignored the human settlers, although they did exterminate anyone foolish enough to get in their way. Disunited and defenseless, the settlers managed to seal off major cities, leading the rest of the world to Crispo. Eventually, events progressed rapidly and the passage to Earth was destroyed, leaving millions of Softy, as they were later to be known, owing to their physical helplessness, isolated with Crispo. Soon, the Crispo sprang a new surprise. The human body served extremely well as biomass for their larvae. Genesis. The Clash. The rapidly decreasing Softy population attempted a last counter-stroke inspired by the infinite mind, genetic intrusion. This successfully drew the Crispo back and as the epidemic threatened to harm the queen of their colony, the passage to the Crispo homeworld cry was blocked. The genetic intrusion unleashed during the clash between Softy and the Crispo resulted in a combined genetic structure. In the following generations, biomolecular chaos erased all of the original Softy and Crispo and formed a sinister bullion of spawn. The majority of them had no chance of survival, but after a while, three basic varieties of the species, the bios, began to form from a diversity of mutant Losty. They were all characterized by a similar metabolism and psychobiological uniformity. The Crispo anatomy proved to be more advanced and better suited for a local habitat. The Softy complex nervous system proved superior in terms of versatility. The Losty inherited these characteristics from their ancestors. The four basic wards of the chain are now inhabited by three bios, whose diversity traces back to the functional divisions of the Crispo colonies. The Crispo colony encountered by Pioneer Softy appeared to be a highly organized collective mind of insectoid organisms. However, all was not how it seemed. Only one division of Crispo manifested intelligence, and the Softy remained ignorant of their existence. It was the larvae, a subterranean creatures incapable of fast movement and relatively weak, who ran the colony. A complicated system of sense was used to control the other divisions of the colony. Those worm-like beavers of mind were at the top of the colony hierarchy, and the Queen at their head. The Queen did not possess her own consciousness or identity, she merely integrated the mental primitives of larvae. Human individualism was alien to her intrinsically collective mind. Did I even read this right? Territorial expansion of Crispo was highly organized and began with the invasion of a Queen's satellite, Valava, into the area to be occupied. Valava controlled the Crispo combat troops from deep underground by generating pheromones. The larva consisted of a simple biological structure with slow metabolism which resulted in lifespan lasting eons. All the creatures in the universe live according to their inherent nature. The Softy possessed a relentless of mind and spirit that urged them to ceaselessly search for a reason. The Tre, Crispo, were free from such high matters. Their leading strength lay in the integration of diverse beings by the Queen in a complicated but well-organized biological system. The Clash extracted these drives from both Crispo and Softy. The few bios produced during the bullion of spores capable of physical survival inherited a combination of racial instincts producing obscure urges which has lost any meaning. The Lost Team. During the Clash, while defending themselves from a ferocious Crispo, the last generation of Softy built underground enclave cities, the S-Caves, which became home for their descendants, the Losty. Although the Losty inherited their brains from Softy, their subconscious integrated many weird psychic features of Crispo ancestors, which emerged as somewhat bizarre behavior in the mutants. It is the influence of this instinct that has resulted in the bios existing in urban communities, the bunches. They endlessly practice cult rituals, the only reason for existence they have. The bunches have survived only by strict adherence to the conservation laws that developed over times. A bunch cycle consists of several stages, each of which is closely connected to the physiology of one of the bios. The complication of each such function depends on the scent of a particular larva, which serves as a catalyst. A complicated Crispo mechanism of controlling the colony through a system of scents evolved into a sophisticated cult practiced by the Lost Team. It involved great reverence of addicted. Sorry, kinda lost there. It involved a great reverence of and addiction to the sense of now hidden and unfathomable lava, who still slowly crawls underground, disunited now their connection to the Queen, lost long ago, the passage to Cry was sealed. The present. It is now 1,000 years after the clash. The Losty have stabilized and formed aberrant tribes of inbred creatures. Living on the rubble of powerful and ancient civilizations, they practice endless cult cycles in an attempt to establish a rationale for their existence. The player belongs to the clan of Vangers, explorers, warriors, traders, and pirates. And in a world that is only just beginning to wake from their oblivion, the strange worlds of the Lost Chain emerged as time passes. They are full of mystery, weird inhabitants, and dangerous competitors. Eventually, it will be revealed that the clash between Softy and Christball was not coincidental. The weird history of a bullion of spawn has been planned by the Infinite Mind, specifically to develop a new type of warrior, the Vanger. Okay, a little bit of breaking of the third wall here. Fourth wall, sorry. Yeah. This is the last screen of Break History, so let's go in the game and see how it fares.